See how we look. Camera right there. We're live. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Brother Jediah, and guess what? We have now brought back The Lord's Been Kind. It's definitely a pleasure and an honor to sit before you. And today we're going to have what The Lord's Been Kind is doing now is we are bringing you a show called Biblical Awareness. So with the Biblical Awareness class, we're just going to get a little deeper into the Bible. As you may know, here at the Israel Church of Jesus in Philadelphia, we also, as well as in Atlanta, we also do the Bible in plain view, and it's more of a simpler steps in the Bible. First, like how the Lord says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This is kind of like the beginning stages when you watch the Bible in plain view. But here, when we get into biblical awareness, we're going to get a little deeper into the Bible. Now, we're not going to go crazy. We're not going to reinvent the wheel, anything of that nature. All we really trying to do is just help those that are studying their Bible understand some of the more difficult topics of the Bible. I'm Brother Jediah. We have with me Brother Ira, one of our teachers here at the Philadelphia location. And again, it's quite a pleasure to be before you. So we're gonna get right into it. So we're dealing with Israel. And unlike most of the lesson things we do, we generally have the teaching format, but I decided we would do something just a little different. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to basically present a few questions to you. And today's topic will be Israel. Israel's in the Bible, also known as Hebrews. If you were to, matter of fact, let's run to our Bible real quick. Let's go to the book of Jonah. Israelites in the Bible are also denoted as Hebrews. Jonah, and when Jonah, most people know about Jonah, he was in the belly of the whale, and prior to him getting actually in the belly of the whale, there was a small type of confrontation going on the boat, where the boat was going crazy, so on and so forth. So they're going to question Jonah on who he is, and Jonah is going to respond in such a matter. So let's pick this up at Jonah chapter 1, and let's start at verse 7. And when you get there, you can read for me. I'll read for you.
Okay, no problem. And they said, every one to his fellow, come, and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah.
Go ahead.
Then said they unto him, tell us, we pray thee, for whose cause is this evil come upon us? What is thine occupation, and whence comest thou? What is thy country, and of what people art thou? And he said unto them, I am a Hebrew.
So Jonah, who we understand is an Israelite, his response to them was a Hebrew. So that's one of the things that Israelites are in the Bible. They're Hebrews. So when you start talking about the Hebrew slaves, they became Israelites. And really, who are the Israelites would be the sons of Jacob. So you have Noah, and he gets off the ark. He has 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And Japheth, as we understand, is the progenitor of the
Dark nations.
Japheth is the
those are the Gentiles.
Exactly, or the white nations.
Right.
The Caucasians, your Asians, so on and so forth. Then you have Ham. And we're gonna actually look at some of the things. Like, for example, I have the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, and it's about, and I'm looking up Ham, and it says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
That's right.
So Ham is one of Noah's sons, and he is the father of your Africans, basically. And then there was Shem. So from Shem, as you proceed a little further, you get to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob had 12 sons, and these are your children of Israel. And you see them go down into Egypt at the beginning of Exodus. Joseph was one of Jacob's sons, and he was the head figure of this 12 sons of Jacob in going into Egypt. They manipulated and caused him to be taken away as a slave in Egypt, but it ultimately was the Lord's will, and all the brothers and the father were saved down in Egypt by Joseph being there, who was second or third in command. I would have to read that to be exactly sure. So then after we go down into Egypt, The children of Israel, they grow as a nation. New Pharaoh comes up, and when this new Pharaoh comes up, he doesn't know anything about Joseph coming in there. Let's pick this up in Exodus chapter 1. He doesn't know anything about Joseph and his family, coming down, or I should say, he's not as connected as the previous Pharaoh. But we'll let the Bible tell the story. So we're gonna pick this up at Exodus chapter 1, and let's start reading at verse 8.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
So Jacob and Israel, they're the same person. Jacob wrestled with an angel one night, and he prevailed along with this angel as the angel toyed with him. And when the angel was done, he said, let me go. And Jacob said, no, give me some type of blessing or whatnot. And he gave him a new name. He gave him the name Israel. And Israel means to have power with God and with man. Israel was at that point set out to become a special type of nation. Every author of the books of this Bible are Israelites.
That's correct.
Okay, go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them. Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Go ahead.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
All right. So the more that they, like I said, they make kids, we don't die, we multiply. The more they kept afflicting these Israelites, the more they just grew. But what we're seeing is the affliction is they brought the children of Israel and set taskmasters over them. That means that they made them slaves. So now that the Hebrew slaves or the Israelite slaves are down in Egypt, then Moses comes and he delivers them with the power of God. And we have your 10 plagues, and you have them go down into Mount Sinai, and they get the 10 commandments. Only the children of Israel got the 10 commandments. No other nation. And then they walked them into the promised land where they took the walls of Jericho fell down, and then they got that promised land for that short time, and they became a nation. And they had kings like David and King Solomon and Saul and Hezekiah and Josiah and things of that nature. They had kings and they became a nation, and eventually they fell again during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. He was a Gentile king from the sons of Japheth. And now after Nebuchadnezzar, you had your Medes and your Persians, and then the Lord allowed Israel to come back to Jerusalem. At that point, the children of Israel were called Jews, because mainly the tribe of Judah was the stronger of the tribes that went back into the land. And then after the Medo-Persian Empire conquered the world, then the Greeks conquered the world, and then your Romans. And when Jesus was around, he's an Israelite. Mary and his father, supposedly Joseph, they're Israelites from the tribes of Judah. Judah is one of the 12 sons and of Jacob or Israel. And then at that point, Jesus is born in the region of Israel. And then afterwards, around 70 years later or so, the children of Israel go back into captivity. And really at that point, they're erased from history. But a lot of times people don't understand that them being erased from history was really a conspiracy of the nations. But that's something that we may talk about today. So I have a few questions here. And one of the things that our common church does, let's go to Romans 3:29. I want to read this one verse here. And our common churches make this grave error in the Bible. And read that verse 29, and I just want us to see this, and then I'm going to show you what the error is they make. Go ahead.
All right. Is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also.
All right, and I want you to read one more, Romans 9:24. Romans chapter 9 and verse 24.
All right. Even us, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles.
Now, what happens is in our common churches, and I remember I went out to preach the gospel to one of these churches, and I heard one of these Church of Christ churches, and the minister was there, and he was like, "Oh well, we the Gentiles."
Mhm.
And the saying is whether you're either a Jew or a Gentile. Now, could you give us some clarity on whether Jew or Gentile? Like, is that true? If you're not a Jew, then you're a Gentile. Like, who are the Gentiles? And help us see who actually are the Jews. Because I don't think a lot of people understand that the Jews are actually a real nation of people. And could you also help us to understand the difference in what today modernly they call Jewish, and then what is the Bible saying Jew? So help us out a little bit with that.
All right. Well, first and foremost, when I came into this, I thought I was a Gentile, like you said, because currently I was going to a Sunday church, or what I mean. So they didn't specify to me my nation, and God deals with nations. So all the way back, we can look at Genesis chapter 10, where the nations actually start to come out, where God is starting to separate man as a nation. So if you go to Genesis chapter 10, and you're going to look here after the flood of Noah, the world's going to get restored. The Lord is going to start this thing over, and we're going to read one verse here, and it's going to come from the 3 sons of Noah. If you didn't come out of the 3 sons of Noah, then guess what? You know what? You ain't here. You ain't no person. You're an alien. All right. So look, Genesis. Well, sorry. Go to Genesis 9, and then read verse 19.
Genesis 9 and verse 19. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread.
So now, right here, these are the 3 sons of Noah, and from them, the whole earth is overspread. So now you would have to come out of these lines. So now, go to Genesis chapter 10, and then we're going to see that Noah, from these 3 sons, you have the nations that are here set today are from these 3 sons. Start at verse 1, brother.
Now these are the generation of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Okay, now we're going to just go ahead. We're not going to read the whole thing, but just enough to show you where these nations start from. Read this first son's name.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Medea, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphtah, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan.
All right, that's cool right there. So now, read verse 5, brother.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their land, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nation.
All right, so now there we go. Japheth. So Japheth is the one where we have who we call the Gentiles, which are currently these days called the European or white people. All right, this is where this comes from.
What about the Chinese? Would they be Gentiles?
Yes, they would be. They would actually they would be Gentiles. All right, and just because we don't go by these names, Gomer and Magog, Magog being I believe that's Russia, right? Russia's Magog, and in China, I forgot what China name is. What is it? China Magog and Magog. But they are their ancient names, but this is what they are currently. All right. So this European and white people. Let's see about Ham, brother.
Verse 6.
Verse 6.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan.
All right, Canaan. Let me tell you now. The sons of Ham, and we read earlier in Zondervan's Bible Dictionary where it said Ham, the youngest of the sons, born 96 years after the flood. He was the progenitor of the dark races. Now, Mizraim,
96 years before the
flood. Excuse me, thank you, brother. Mizraim, meaning Egypt. That's Egypt's ancient name.
Well, since you say that, I happen to have a dictionary. I'm not a dictionary, an encyclopedia, set of Britannicas, and I actually took the liberty to look up Mizraim, and because what he's saying is Mizraim is, and let's see who it is, and this is Encyclopedia Britannica, Encyclopedia, Volume 15. What's the date on this? I like to make sure we cite our references here. And you can find this in probably most encyclopedias, good one. 1963, that's the copyright on here. And we're looking up Mizraim, the biblical name for Egypt. Just that simple. So apparently, dual termination may be due to the misunderstanding, or may refer to Upper and Lower Egypt as 2 entities in one. So basically, Mizraim, the history books show us they're the Egyptians.
They are.
So then what we're seeing is that the Egyptians, the original Egyptians, unlike what the TV show shows, the original Egyptians are black.
Or dark-skinned people.
Right, because we looked in Zonder, a Bible dictionary,
That's
and
correct.
it showed Ham, and it said that Ham was the father of the black nations, but not the Negro.
But not the Negro.
We the Negro.
We the Negro. We got to find out who the Negroes are.
They call us Negro.
And then
All right.
get into it. So now, going forward, we have Egypt,
Mhm,
we have Put,
mhm.
we have Canaan, which
Uh-huh.
is actually the land that was promised to Abraham
Okay.
and to his descendants.
All right.
And we're going to get there. All right.
All right.
So we find out that these are, in fact, what we call African nations now, because Ham is in Africa. We'll get to that. I don't want to get above or too far above myself, but Ham is actually the African, what we call the African nations right now, brother.
Mhm.
All right. So now, skip on down, brother. Well, skip down to verse 20, because it's a whole line of Hamite descendants, but we're going to get and show you who these are. Verse 20.
These are the sons of Ham after their family, after their tongues, in their country, and in their nation.
All right, he says after their families, after their tongues, and after their nations, right?
Mhm.
Is race in there?
No.
You don't see no race in there, right?
Mm-mm.
I just want to make that clear because that word race came in later, to try to throw us off from being a people. See, because God deals with nations, you understand, and that's part as we might get into it later with Psalms 83, where it talks about the nations were confederate one with another to keep us from being a nation and find out who we are.
Mhm.
Because if we find out who we are as a nation and find out that this particular nation has a God that has did something to us, that has cursed us because we have transgressed his laws, when we come back and bethink ourselves in the land of our captivity, no matter where we at, because he sifted us there, then guess what? He's going to respond and come and collect us from these nations and then reign over us. And he's going to show us, show the whole world once again who we are. But all right, now by our countries, Ham, these are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, after their countries, in their nations. Now, Ham is the African nation. Now we're going to find out who this Shem is, because in fact, where Abraham came from, he came from this line, and this is where the Negro or the Hebrews come from. It's from the line of Shem. So let's get to Shem.
Verse 21, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
Okay, so now we're going to go all the way through and through Shem. We don't have time to read everything now, but this is the line where Jacob comes from.
Okay.
So skip on over here, brother, to Genesis chapter 11 and get to verse 10.
Verse 10, Genesis 11. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 5.
All right, so now we're just going to go on through these to let you know after this flood, this is when Shem had descendants after that.
Yeah.
So we're just going to we're going to skip right to Abraham's father. We're going to go on down and get to his lineage. Skip on down here to verse 27.
27. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram.
Abram being who's going to be known as Abraham.
Nahor and Haran begot Lot.
Go ahead.
And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity.
Okay.
In Ur of the Chaldeans.
All right. So now Abraham comes from Ur of the Chaldeans. I'm taking you. Sometimes you got to build this to show you the difference, brothers and sisters. Brothers, so you got to see the difference. All right. And show you that Abraham is in fact in the line of Shem. You know what I mean, and that he had a wife, and that's who we're talking about. Skip right back to verse 31, brother.
Chapter 10 and 31. Chapter 10. These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, and their lands, after their nations.
All right, going right on back. Now, this was just another breakdown, getting more in depth in verse 11, chapter 11 of Shem. But now, just to show you that Abram is the one that's going to be called Abraham, just read chapter 11, verse 29.
And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. The name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. But Sarah was barren and she had no child.
All right, so you know that as it goes on, Abraham, the Lord tells him to get out of his land, go to a land that he's going to show him, and then he's going to, there he's going to end up making a covenant with him, and through him he's going to have the Isaac, and then Jacob, then the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
Okay, so now going ahead, you asked me,
Jew or Gentile?
The Jew or the Gentile?
Because the New Testament speaks of it like whether Jew or Gentile.
No, man, in order for you to be a Gentile, you have to come from the line of Japheth.
So when the New Testament, right, they're not including the Ham children. They're just, and really Shem's other kids. I mean, why is the New Testament saying Jew or Gentile instead of saying, I guess, Jew and Ham, Gentile, Canaanite,
right.
everybody else?
Because the Lord is dealing with the Gentile. The Gentile is not during this time, the Jews didn't have no dealings with the Gentiles at this time. And understand this, the Lord had the plan for Israel always that all was going to be inclusive. But guess what? It was only going to come through Israel. And the reason why we were dealing with the Jews at that time, brothers, because you know what, the rest of the 10 tribes, they were scattered by the Assyrian army. And like you said, after the Nebuchadnezzar captivity, Judah was the only one to come back into the land with a few.
So basically, the children of Israel that come back, they're the Jew.
Yes.
And then I guess, and then when you look at it, you're writing a letter to the Romans, you're writing to the Corinthians. These are your Gentile nations.
These are the nations.
Yes, so sir. I guess then we could just say when we look at the New Testament, it's either I'm talking to the Jews or the Gentiles, because that's what I'm writing. So
that's exactly.
It's not so much anybody else is disincluded, or it's not so much that, well, the Hamite is not a Gentile or anything of that nature. It's just I'm writing a book or a letter, and we're writing to Gentiles. And we're saying, well, whether you're a Jew or a Gentile, which really is relevant because the Gentile was ruling the world.
Exactly, at the time. And that's another thing. See, there's so many levels to this, but it's true. And exactly. The Gentile nations were the ones that were in control at this time. And when Paul was doing his ministry, and he was a apostle to the Gentile, he were going to Gentile nations, the nation that he was actually going to, whereas Ephesus and Colossus.
All writing the letters.
He's one of writing the letters, and he's in there dealing with the Gentiles.
Right.
Now, so it would only be advantageous to him to be like, okay, well, I'm speaking to a Gentile nation.
Right.
If a Hamite was there, it wouldn't be really relevant, because it wasn't like he was in Africa. You know what I'm saying? He was going to the Gentile nation. Right. So I understand now, be more clarified with the question. This is why he was just saying, generally the Gentile, that's where he was at. Not that everybody that's not a Gentile is going to fall underneath that umbrella as being a Gentile. It's just the fact that he was just in the nations or around the Gentile nations. So it would just be easier to say, hey, if you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. You understand?
Which really he never said. He just said to the Jew or the Gentile.
Or the Gentile.
Right. Because he wasn't really saying, well, if you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. Or if you're not a Gentile, you're a Jew. He was just talking to the Gentile. He said, well, whether you Jew or Gentile. But
here's the thing. We have, because we got took out of our land, like you said, around 70 AD, our identity as a people were erased by the people. But the Lord already told us this, that it was going to happen to us. If you may turn to Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 3. Because this is because of our disobedience to the Lord. And so, since he deals with nationhood, we was going to lose all that. We was going to lose our identity. We was going to lose our religion. We was going to have to get sent to other nations, and we was going to serve their God, because we wouldn't serve the true and living God. But if you read Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So understand this, your heritage, when you have a heritage, you have a place, identity, you have a name connected to you, you have a land connected to you. And as you can see now, brothers and sisters,
We don't have that right now. We are a nobody from nowhere.
Now you keep saying we. So, and I guess for our listening audience, so that we can clarify, what he keeps saying, we are the true Jews.
True Jew.
Like when we looked in the Compact Bible Dictionary, it said Ham, father of the dark races, not the Negro. Now, with that being said, and us being the true Jews, and he keeps saying that it's something you have to prove to a lot of people. So if you are the Bible, Jews or Hebrews or Israelites are a particular people.
Mhm.
They are a black race of people. And again, Ham is not the Negro because we are the Negro, and we are not Hamites.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was coming up, I was taught at my Sunday church that we were Ham because there was no question if Ham was black. But what people don't understand, Ham is black, Japheth is white, and Shem sits in the middle. Your so-called Jew, your Arab, they are all Shemitic. Okay. Now I want us to go to Revelations 3 and 9,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to put something else here on the table. Revelations chapter 3 and verse 9, and I want you to read that one verse there. When you get there, go ahead.
Got you. Behold, I will make of them.
I'm sorry, I did say 3 and 9.
3 and 9.
But I want 2 and 9.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
Uh-huh.
I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
So, like the brother was saying in Psalms 83, that there's a conspiracy going on to hide the identity of a race or of a group or of a nation. And this nation is the children of Israel, the Jew. And they have been trying to hide it. And now you got somebody who's saying that they are the Jew, and they're lying. And then notice it says they're synagogues of Satan.
That's right.
There's only one group of people that we connect to a synagogue. That's your so-called Jew. And we're not going to get too much into who they are. I will tell you that that's really the Israelite brother. But that's another story. But is there any way that we can prove the color, or can we identify, or is there anything that the Bible gives us to identify this people here in America? And I guess we're not just talking America. I guess we're talking South America, your European blacks that are of West African descent that has come through some type of slavery or some type of servitude, because Israel is really everywhere.
That's right.
I mean, I remember watching a documentary about Russia from the early 1900s, and I saw an Israelite there when they showed the audience, out there greeting the Tsar. So with that being said, Israel is everywhere, or black people are everywhere, and not all black people are Hamites. All right. So is there any scriptures that you have that can help us see the color or identify this group of people with that group of people?
Got you. No problem. Let's go. Let's try this at Amos chapter 3, and then we're going to go to Amos chapter 9. Because I want to identify that, we know that the Israelites, that nation came out of Egypt. They were amongst Egypt, and Egypt they knew that they were getting stronger and mightier, and they wanted to deal harshly with them. Even to the fact that they started killing the children. Okay. All right. So and Moses, we know that Moses ended up being a son to Pharaoh's daughter. Now he couldn't have looked like somebody from the Partridge family or something like that, because that would have been obvious and stuck out. And guess what?
I get. So what you're saying is, when we were back in Exodus chapter 1, we were reading about how the Egyptians started to grow and the Pharaoh didn't like them no more.
That's right.
Then afterward, it said they was a heavy burden, but then we didn't read where they started trying to kill the children.
We didn't read that yet. We didn't get into that.
Right. We didn't get into, but they tried to kill the children, the Baal sons of the Israelites. But Moses was sent up into a little basket. You might have seen the movie or whatever.
Right.
He was sent up into a basket, and he ended up being in Pharaoh's house. And what the brother is saying, which makes a lot of sense, is if you're killing Israelite babies and the Egyptians look black, we know the Egyptians are black. We've read a couple of things to show
that's
that.
Right.
And the Israeli or the Israelites or the Jews or the Hebrews, if they look like what the picture that people are painting today as white, or they look Caucasianist, then why wouldn't Pharaoh know, well, you can't be my daughter's son?
Impossible.
All right. And not only that, but I've been killing y'all and you still alive.
Dig it.
Time for you to die.
Time
You
for you to
saying
go.
that they're the same color.
Same color.
All right.
All right. So now, it's just so we can solidify that Israel is a different people, and they in fact came out of Egypt. Let's just look and see.
And when you say came out of Egypt, you mean traveled out?
They traveled out of Egypt. Okay. Lord, through Lord had Moses and Aaron to do it.
Keep going.
Okay. The Lord had Aaron and Moses to lead that expedition. Right. So now, but let's see that we can identify the people that came out of Egypt. Amos chapter 3 and verse 1.
Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
All right.
Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying,
what?
You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
All right. So he says, you only, as I know, out of all the families of the earth, meaning that he has dealt only with Israel. Let's see what this people look like. Now, we know that they're the children of Israel, which means the children of Jacob. All right. He brought them out of Egypt. So we know that they look like the Egyptians. All right. So now let's see what they look like. And the Lord is going to compare that. Turn to Amos chapter 9 and verse 7.
Amos 9 and 7.
Amos 9 and 7.
Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me?
The Lord is telling them that, aren't you like the children of the Ethiopians unto me? And we're going to get a little bit more further clarity under, not meaning that y'all are the people, but how y'all look. Go ahead.
O children of Israel, says the Lord, have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Castor, and the Syrians for Kar?
All right. So now, listen, we know that they're a dark-skinned people, right?
Okay.
Let's go to Song of Solomon, right? And let's look what Solomon looked like. And really, we're going to be talking about what looked like, what Jesus looked like. Come on, Song of Solomon. And sure, because we need to know what this color look like. These color of these people. Pardon me. Let me get there, bro.
Okay.
All right. Song of Solomon, right? All right. Kick it off at verse 5, brother.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, verse 5.
I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar.
Come on.
As the curtains of Solomon. Look not upon me because I am black.
No, he's talking like, look, they call us black people right here. You know what I mean? But, this is like an analogy, because he ain't walking around like he's just a black person like they call us now. But he's saying, listen, I'm dark. All right, go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black.
Go ahead.
Because the sun have looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept.
Now, this is written by Solomon. They say that it's a love song, to his people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But listen, the Lord is letting you know, like, this is what the color of my people is. This is what my color is. I'm a black person, but I'm a dark skin. He said, don't look upon me because the sun has kissed my skin. You know what I mean? That's what happens when the sun kisses your skin. You're going to turn another shade. And the Caucasian person, they like being in the sun, don't they? So they can get a little bit darker, so they won't be so white. But right here, he's letting you know the color. And there's other places also. We can read Revelation chapter 1, around verse 11, I believe it is, where it talks about, when John was looking upon the voice that was talking behind the candlesticks. When he looked, he seen that his feet was as the color of burnt brass. And if you can, anybody can go on Wikipedia or Google, you can see what the color of burnt brass is. It's a dark skin color.
About like you,
more like you.
I'm burnt
more like you.
You polished brass.
But this is what the color of the children of Israel are. And it doesn't take rocket science to know this. You know what I mean? And the people have done that through the what's it called? The conspiracy, the conspiration of the nations. They have kept us from finding out our color. You know what I mean? Our nationhood. You know what I mean? And that's about it, brother. You know what I mean? Okay.
Well, now what I want to do is let's turn to Genesis real quick, because I want to give us from a historical biblical perspective how we can see that the Israelites must be a dark people. And we're going to go to Genesis chapter 50. And we're just going to make some sense out of what we read here. So what's going on? Let me paint the picture for you. The father of the Israelites has died. He was down in Egypt. He died in Egypt. So now you got all the children of Israel and the sons of Jacob, the children of Israel, same person, Jacob, Israel. And they're down there. And what's going on now is they're about to bury their father. And I want you to pick it up in verse 1 so we can kind of look at some things here. When you get there, go ahead.
And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. And the physicians embalmed Israel.
Right.
And 40 days were fulfilled for him. For so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days.
That's 70. Go ahead.
And when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found grace in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die, and in my grave which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come again.
So Joseph is about to bury his father. This is what's going on here. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury thy father according as he had made thee swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt.
So what you got is the Israelites and the Egyptians. They all going to bury Joseph, Jacob. Go ahead.
All the house of Joseph and his brother and his father's house, only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen.
Go ahead.
And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company.
Go ahead.
And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there were there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
All right, so they out there, and they 7 days out there mourning for their father. Go ahead.
And when the inhabitants of the land of Canaan saw the mourning.
So now the people of Canaan, which is black people,
that's right.
They saw that sons of Ham. They was out there and they saw the mourning going on. Go ahead.
In the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians.
Wait a minute. What color are the Egyptians?
Oh, they're black.
Okay.
A dark skin race.
Right.
Okay.
But are we looking at all Egyptians?
No.
We're looking at Egyptians and Israelites.
That's right.
Okay. So it said it's a grievous, and the people of Canaan, they know everybody, right? I mean, that's just like being in, America. I mean, you know everybody in America. You're not going to make a distinct, you're not going to get confused an Asian with a Mexican or with a black, or, you see the blacks, you're going to be like, oh, it's the white people over there crying. What does that make? They black. Why are you saying they white people? That don't make no sense. So the people here, they say that it's a grievous day for the Egyptians. So what we're trying to show you here, and there's other places, we can go to Deuteronomy 28, and it'll really give you a breakdown. And we're not even gonna go there,
right?
But it would give you a breakdown on how you really identify the children of Israel. Because like the brother said in Psalms 83, there is a conspiracy about this.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? They have hidden the identity of the children of Israel. Okay, now, there's one other thing that I kind of want to address here. Let's go to John chapter 4. John chapter 4. Because what a lot of people really play on is, well, Israel is just not important. That's that Old Testament. Israel is done away with. These are some of the terms that we hear. And it's funny because we let these terms enter into our brain through our ears, and we're not comprehending that everybody who wrote a book in the Bible is an Israelite.
Yeah.
Peter, James, Paul, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, Daniel, Jeremiah. See, that we in the Old Testament. We ain't questioning that though. Right. But even the New Testament was all written by Israelites, but still the same. Oh, he started a new church. Man, if you go read Acts chapter, I think it's 7 or Acts chapter 7, he said the church started with Israel in the wilderness. This is the true church. But at any rate, I want you to see something Jesus said. We're going to John 4 and 22 and read that one verse there.
John 4 and 22. Ye worship ye know not what.
That's right.
We know what we worship.
Why is that?
For salvation is of the Jews.
So he say salvation now is of the Jews. Now, this is something that Jesus said.
That's right.
My question is does it still matter? Is Israel still important? What is their importance? Like, you know, we sitting here, we taking the time out to show you some things about Israel in your Bible, but the question is, does it matter?
Of course it matters.
And why is that?
It matters very much because, see, God, you're not going to know who God is unless he reveals himself to you.
All right.
Now, he revealed himself only to a people so that the people can reveal themselves, reveal who God is, you know what I mean, to all the sons of Adam, so to speak, okay? So now, God has protocol and he has a way to doing this, all right? So now, he has his own witnesses about who he is. And I'm going to bring this to you, to this fact. Let's go to brother Isaiah chapter 43 and 1. Because Israel's very important. Matter of fact, before you go to Isaiah 43, let's go to Romans chapter 3 real fast. All right, Romans chapter 3. And I'll show you why Israel is important. And it is very relevant. Romans chapter 3, and we have the advantage of us and the Gentiles. All right, let's kick it off at verse 1 and 2, brother.
What advantage then have the Jew? Or what profit is there of the circumcision?
All right,
their circumcision.
All right, so when they say circumcision here, it just simply means those that fell up underneath the covenant that God gave to Abraham. He had to get
well, the children of Israel all got circumcised.
That's right.
So really, he's still talking about Israel when he said of the circumcision.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. So now, so what advantage is the Jew, and what profit is of the circumcision? What's the answer that Paul says?
Much everywhere.
Why is that?
Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
All right. So chiefly because unto the Jew, all right, or the circumcision, or we just go ahead and say unto Israel was committed the oracles or the answers or of God, or you know what you need to know. All right. Did he do that with any other nation? I don't think so. We already read earlier in Amos chapter 3. You only have I known of all the families of the earth, right? And why do we need to know this? Is it just for us to know? You know, or you know, is God just going to tell here Israel, y'all know me, you ain't got to do nothing else? Nah, God's not small-minded like that. You know what I mean? He don't want to condemn everybody. He wants everybody to be saved. He wants them to have life. So let's look at this. Go to Isaiah now. Go to Isaiah 43, because this is why we're relevant. This is why Israel's always going to be relevant. And they can't do it. It can't go. Isaiah 43, and we're going to kick it off at verse 1. Isaiah 43 and verse 1, brother. When you get there, go ahead and read.
But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not. For I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine.
He said, thou art mine. You all right? You all right? I redeemed thee and I called thee. But what did he call him for? All right, keep reading, brother.
When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burnt. Neither shall the flame kindle upon thee.
Keep going.
For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of the world.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of the Gentile.
The Holy One of Israel.
Or of Israel. Go ahead.
Thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Sabah for thee.
All right, so understand, he brought the most powerful nation down to the ground that we was in to bring a people to himself. Not just to say that I got a people for it. It had a purpose behind this. He told Abraham through Israel, the whole world was going to be blessed. Why? Because through that lineage or through that seed of people or nation of people, the Messiah would come and give, and guess what? You know, and give a direction to the whole world on how to be saved. Okay, but so now
let me interject real quick. Can we read Exodus 19? Because as we deal with it, and as I hear you, I want to make sure we put this one out here on the table.
Very good.
Exodus chapter 19, and we'll start at verse 3. Exodus 19 and 3. And when you get there, go ahead.
Yeah, seeing what I did unto the children.
Exodus 19 and 3.
Sorry, brother. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say unto the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself.
Okay.
Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Go ahead.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
All right, so what we're looking at here is he's saying to the children of Israel, y'all gonna be a kingdom of priests. So you're a kingdom of priests there. From what I'm gathering, what you're saying is that God gave, or like we read in when he said in Romans, God gave the word or oracle of God to the children of Israel, and their job is to go out like Jesus told his disciples and preach the gospel to the whole world.
That's right.
So now, but here's my thing though. So when I grew up, because you said that God gave it to Israel to give to the whole world, my pastor was black. So then he was an Israelite, right?
Most likely, more than likely, yes, sir.
So what's wrong with that if he's an Israelite, me accepting what he's giving me? Because he's the pastor, you know, even though he may be telling me things that I don't necessarily read Bible, but I'm saying, you know, I just want some clarity on that perspective of, well, we're Israelites. Like, what is it that they're doing wrong, but we're doing right? You know, you follow what I'm getting at?
So, okay, true. Yes, I do. Because listen, the Bible lets us know in Ephesians. Well, let me see here. Go back to Isaiah 43 and verse 10.
Isaiah 43 and 10.
Because what we need to understand is there's only one way, brothers and sisters. And God gave it to Israel. We dropped the ball. And then it got picked up by the Gentiles. And that is where it went all wrong. All right.
Ye are my witness, saith the Lord, my servant, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me.
Go ahead.
I, even I am the Lord. And beside me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved, and I have shown when there was no strange God among you. Therefore you are my witnesses, saith the Lord, that I am God.
So understand, the Lord gave Israel, and he has not dealt with no other nation. So we the one that's going to be a witness to the whole world that we are.
But my pastor growing up was an Israelite though.
Well, he didn't know that, right? He didn't know that?
No, so I don't know what he knew, if he knew that, but what I'm trying to get us to see is that the typical church that we go to on Sunday, the foundation of that church comes from the Gentile teaching.
Correct.
And there is your difference. Just because your pastor is black and Israelite,
I got you.
Doesn't make that church right. It has to come under the banner. When he said salvation is of the Jew, now you got to go back and see, well, what did the Jew have?
Got you. Okay, let's go to Ephesians. Let's go to Ephesians. Sorry.
Timothy, Thessalonians.
Ephesians, there we go. There we go. All right, there you go. Go to Ephesians, chapter 4. All right, and kick it off at verse 4, brother.
There is one body, one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your call.
Come on.
One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all.
All right, so understand, brother. All right, it's one Lord, it's one faith, it's one baptism, it's one body. Everybody should be doing the same thing. All right. When we drop the ball, we should be, if it's one faith, one baptism, then why do we have so many denominations? We understand that, you know, through this unholy organization, the Roman Catholic Church, that you have all these denominations, and that shouldn't be. But because these people, our people, the Israelites, dropped the ball, like I said in Deuteronomy chapter 28, you know, where typically the blessings and the curses stay, that, you know what, the doctrine that Christ had and that the Israelites had, that God gave to them, you know what, was lost. It was lost, and then the Gentile picked up everything that gave us whatever was holy to them. So this is the doctrine. We need to be getting it from this book right here. So just because the pastor was at Bethel AME Church or whatever, and they had a book like this, you know what I mean, the Bible or whatever, if they weren't doing what was said in the book, where it said precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, and doing the express word that Jesus did, then they're wrong. They were off. And that's what we want to get to. It's one faith, one baptism, one Lord.
Kind of like this in Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10. And looking at verse, I think it's 1 actually. Romans 10 and 1. He says, well, 1, 2, and 3. All right.
Very good. Romans 10. It says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
So what we're getting at with that is that our pastors that we had coming up, you grew up in Sunday church?
I grew up in Sunday church.
I grew up in Sunday church. So our pastors growing up didn't have what thus said the Lord. They didn't have that good doctrine, like in Proverbs 4, when you were speaking about doctrine, he said, I give you good doctrine,
that's right.
He not my law.
That's right.
So what we're trying to get you to understand that when we start saying, is Israel important? Or when Jesus said salvation is of the Jew, all we're trying to tell you is that, look, you need the commandments of God. And that's what was given to the oracles of God. That's what was given to the Jews. That's what makes the Jews relevant. That they have the commandments of God, and they were supposed to, and they have. Matter of fact, let's turn to Romans chapter 9 while we're here. We're right here, and read verse 4 and 5. But when you say, well, what's the point? The point is the Jew, the Israelite, the black man, he has a job to do. Once he has realized that he is it doesn't matter. Even the Gentile got a job to do. I mean, if you're a Gentile and you read the Bible, then hey, you need to start telling people, keep the commandments, repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand.
That's correct.
That's everybody's job. But now when we start talking about church, because the Bible does say we are supposed to go to church, not on Sunday, but we are supposed to go to church. Then now the service of God was given to a particular people. Now the church and its purpose is so that you have this place of learning, this learning center, so that you're able to continue to grow, know what you need to do, be fed properly by your pastors, so that you will be able to learn how to obtain your salvation. Now Romans 9 and 4 says what? Go ahead.
Who are Israelites? To whom pertains the adoption?
So we're going to answer that question. Who are the Israelites? To whom what pertains to them? They were adopted by God. God ain't birthed no child, but the Israelites are his son. He adopted them. Go ahead.
And the glory. And the covenant.
The covenants, the agreements were made with Israel. God didn't make an agreement with the Roman Catholic Church, with the Pope. Go ahead.
And the giving of the law.
The giving of the law. I mean, the job of who's going to give the law belongs to the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And the service of God. And the promises.
And the promises. All these things belong to Israel. So when you say, well, is it important? That's the importance.
Yes, sir.
So as we prepare to conclude, we do hope that you find this to be edifying. I know this was our first show, and it may tend to be a little longer. We're going to check the clock, see how long this went, because we definitely can do this all day. I don't know, trust me, I can teach on Israel for 3 hours. So I mean, 4. We didn't even go to Isaiah 42. We didn't even go to Deuteronomy 28. We didn't even go to Psalm 83. I mean, it's places on top of places that we could continue. I mean, heck, we can go to Daniel 9, show them that the curses that came on Israel. I mean, it's so many places that is infinite in this Bible where we can go to prove to you who Israel is, what is their purpose. But the 2 things that I want you to gather: one, salvation is of the Jew.
That's correct.
And also turn to Psalms 111 and verse 10. Psalm 111 and verse 10. Psalm 111 and verse 10. And read that one verse there. And Psalm is that book. Everybody got Psalm. You probably go to your grandma's house. Psalm got that. She got the big white Bible. Jesus, and it's open up to the middle. It's open to Psalm. But we don't even read it like we're supposed to.
Like it's full, right?
You know. And I was guilty of this too coming up. Psalm 111 verse 10. Read that.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Right. And I mean, yeah, we know he's the God of the Israelites, but he's the Lord. He's the Lord of all mankind. Go ahead.
A good understanding have all they that do his commandments.
Yes, sir.
His praise endureth forever.
So you got a good understanding if you do his commandments. And he gave those commandments to the children of Israel. And as you read the Bible, you will understand and learn that the children of Israel is a black people that have been cursed by God.
Mhm.
So, brothers and sisters, again, it has been quite the pleasure
Yes.
to bring you. The Lord's been kind again. If you subscribe to our channel, you see this channel's been live since 2010, 2009. And we just reinvented it a little bit, try to bring it up to speed. We'll work on our set. We'll work on, we'll bring you some good topics. And we're gonna try to deal with some of the deeper topics. I know today was a simple one, but that's how I felt like we should kick it and start it off with the simple topic of Israel. And we'll be coming to you every last Sunday of the month, 6 o'clock. I know it's football season. I hope the Super Bowl is the first Sunday in February. We'll be watching it up here at the church. But at any rate, though, again, it's quite the pleasure. I'm Brother Jediah. This is Brother Ira. We here from Israel, the Church of Jesus. We actually in sound room. Don't tell nobody.
Let nobody know.
We're in the sound room. I know it's bootleg right now. Don't worry about it. We got you. We're gonna really try to upgrade this and make this to be a beautiful show, and maybe we can run it for a couple of years where we just come to you with deep topics of the Bible and help you get some understanding. Anything you got?
Listen, it's very important, brothers. Keep the commandments, brothers and sisters. When you serving the Most High God, just keep His commandments. And just dealing with our topic today, with the importance of the Hebrew or the children of Israel. We the one that's supposed to bring that word to you.
Sorry.
So whenever you want to, have a relationship with the Most High God, listen, repent from breaking His law, statutes, commandments. Start keeping them. And you want to get to the teachers, they're Israel. That's all.
Well, as always, or as we used to do, I leave you with one thing here. One man plant, another man water, but it's the Lord to get an increase. And I hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peace.